How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. Tonight, we are doing another segment on Get to Know That Cosplayer, and tonight's featured cosplay guest is Latoya, also known as Royalty Cosplay. How are you doing tonight, Latoya?
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So basically, this cosplay con talk series, get to know that cosplayers. Basically, for those who are listening, to get to know the cosplayer, like how they started out, what was your first con, share experience, tips, and all that stuff. So to begin, how long have you been cosplaying for?
I've been cosplaying since 2012.
So
So
that's
I've been in the game a little bit.
so about 9 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a good bit of time.
So what's it been like cosplaying for so long?
It's actually been pretty amazing. For me, and I tell this to a lot of people who are like first-time cosplayers, or even the people who have been cosplaying for a while, or people who are not even interested in cosplaying. For me, cosplay is therapy. So it's a great way for me to be able to exercise the creative part of myself that I don't get to exercise like in a work environment, for example. And I get to meet people that I would not have normally crossed paths with. So it's been nice to have that work-life balance, to be able to go to work and be serious, but then be able to go to different conventions across the country and just enjoy and have fun.
Nice. Now, speaking of conventions, do you remember what your very first convention was?
Absolutely. It's still my favorite convention to this day, and that's Dragon Con in Atlanta, Georgia.
I've been hearing quite a few cosplayers mention Dragon Con. Cosplays by Shinobi mentioned it a while back. And
that's how he and I were able to cross paths in person, was at that convention. We've seen each other at another convention as well, but Dragon Con is like that place for those who like to cosplay. I think every convention, like comic convention or fandom sort of convention, has some element of cosplay to it. But in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, Dragon Con has more of a focus on cosplay than any of the other conventions. So it's definitely my favorite.
It's definitely a party con from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, that too.
So what was your first cosplay for Dragon Con?
My first cosplay was a ninja, just a basic plain ninja. Basically, I had always wanted to cosplay, but I had heard of Dragon Con before, and I'd seen the pictures and the videos and things, but I was just like, I don't know if people are really truly going to be dressed up, or if I was just seeing, pictures from one person's perspective. So it just looked like everybody was cosplaying. But in reality, maybe only a few people are, So what I did was I wore some gym clothes. I had some a black workout shirt and some black yoga pants from Target, by the way. So just plain black. And I went to the a costume store in Atlanta, and I got sort of like the face covering so you could only see my eyes, and covered up my hair. And then I had like a ponytail, so just like this, but I cut a hole in the back of it so you could see the back of the headpiece so you could see my ponytail. Then I had some gloves on, and I just wore flip-flops, and I got two plastic swords that I basically taped together with electric tape, like in the shape of an X. Nice. And then I used some rope to cover the tape so it didn't look so cheesy. And then I put it on my back like a backpack. And so that way I was like, listen, nobody's really cosplaying for real. All I have to do is take off the accessories, just take off the swords and take off the headpiece and the gloves. And then it'll just look like I'm working out. Like it'll just look like I'm in comfy clothes like everybody else. So that was the reason that I did that. I wanted my cosplay or my costume to be transformative, if you will.
I think that's really impressive. And I've noticed quite a few cosplayers, they'll kind of incorporate that into their cosplay if they don't want to if they don't want to wear their cosplay all day while they're con, they can just easily change their regular clothes.
Yep.
So Dragon Con, what was that like? Were you surprised to see so many people cosplaying when you went?
Yes, and I was surprised to see how huge it was. I expected for there to be a few thousand people at a convention. And since I didn't start off with like a small convention and get bigger, I just kind of
You
didn't
just
know
like you just said
exactly.
forget the small conventions, just go big or go kind of thing.
Right. I was just like, let me jump in. But it was nice because I didn't have to go alone. There was two gentlemen that I actually met at my job who had been going to Dragon Con for years and taking pictures and things of that nature. And so they were like, you can come with our crew so you don't have to be by yourself. And once I got there, I was so happy because I was overwhelmed with the number of people that were there. And then how many people were in cosplay, and then how many hotels were all sort of connected through some sort of labyrinth,
Oh yeah, no,
to be able to, I think it's like 6 hotels that were official participants, that different events were going on in, different panels, parties, things of that nature. So I was just like, whoa, I'd never seen Atlanta like that before. Just heard stories, but never saw it. So yeah, I was totally blown away. And after that, I was sold. So Dragon Con's been a thing for me every year since then.
nice. Yeah, I know quite a few people start off with a small con. I imagine,
Mhm.
like I said, it must have been a culture shock for you going to such a big con, especially your first con.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was definitely a big shock for me, but it was such a warm environment in terms that everyone was really accepting. There were some people who weren't, I'm gonna be honest there, but for the most part, people were very accepting, very encouraging. Like, even though my cosplay was just a simple ninja that I made up, there was literally a couple of gentlemen that were like, hey, can we take some pictures with you on the rooftop? And of course, for those who go to Dragon Con or to conventions, it's not uncommon at all for someone to approach you and say, can I take your picture? It's actually a sign of respect and like love and appreciation for your creativity. So my friends were with me, so I wasn't alone or anything. Definitely felt safe. So we were taking pictures on one of the hotels. I believe it was the Hilton on their rooftop at the time. And I was just like, I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like waving my swords around, trying to get a cool shot. I didn't know. I was just having fun. And another gentleman came up to me and was like, ma'am, do you mind if I show you, some moves, like how to wield the swords? And so I looked at my friends like, is this normal for Dragon Con? Like to have strangers come up to you like this and be like, let me help. And so they were like, yeah, it's cool, go ahead. So they're like my big brothers. So I trust them and their judgment. So I was like, okay. So I gave the guy my little plastic swords. And I mean, he made those things like they look like they were completely real. They're plastic. I still have them to this day, actually.
Oh
But
yeah.
so he was like, oh, so you hold it like this and then angle it this way. And so I got some really good shots from my very first cosplay. Long story short, I continued talking to the guy with my Play Big Brothers and stuff afterwards. Turns out that particular gentleman, his job in Hollywood was to teach celebrities how to wield swords in action movies. I was like,
Nice.
what? So I got so excited. So I was like, I live now, like since that point on until today, like I live for experiences, like really unique experiences like that you wouldn't normally have. And Dragon Con for me has continuously provided those types of really cool memories and experiences.
So in a way, going to Dragon Con is kind of like what inspired you to continue to cosplay to this day.
No, well, going to Dragon Con was what helped me, a piece of me emerge that I didn't think would be accepted. So I'd always wanted to cosplay since probably like I was 8 or 9 years old, and looking at comic books and things like that. But where I grew up in Ohio, a really small town outside of Cleveland, about an hour outside of Cleveland, comic books weren't a thing for girls, and of course cosplay was not either. The community that I grew up in was very Black and white in terms of ethnicity and race and things of that nature. So it was just like that was only reserved for white people, specifically white males. But yeah, it's ridiculous, but it was a thing that was like the mindset. And so when I moved to Atlanta, I was able to sort of find my crew, like find my tribe, who basically was like, no, it's okay for women to cosplay. It's okay for a person of color, period, to cosplay, like whatever, to the things that you grew up around, right? So when I went to Dragon Con and saw the diversity there, it like gave me permission in a way to do exactly what I had wanted to do for so long.
Nice. Now, on that topic, I know this is kind of a double-edged sword question.
Uh-oh.
Being a person of color and cosplaying, have you had to deal with any gatekeeping?
Yeah, Definitely, I have definitely had some friends who have had the same type of experiences. Actually, it was my first Dragon Con when me and my two Play Big brothers, we were walking around Dragon Con. I believe we were in the Marriott, which is one of the like central hotels of Dragon Con. Everybody knows about the Marriott. And so there were quite a few times when myself and other cosplayers of color, male, female, other, whatever, were asked by certain photographers or certain even people wanting to just take pictures, like fans just want to take pictures of different characters. We were asked, can you please step out of the shot just so they could only get the white cosplayers? And I was just like, wait a minute, you know, if when it happens one time, you're just like, okay, maybe that person just had a certain fandom, right? When it happens 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times over the span of Dragon Con weekend, to me, it's no longer a coincidence, right? Yeah, and it was not just my experience. I would see it happen to other people of color, Asians, other African Americans, Latino, just it didn't even matter. It was just people of color. And I was like, this is like not right. And so my two Play Big brothers that I keep mentioning, one is Dr. Lee Willis, and the other one is Dr. Jeff Hall. They both have their PhDs in the public health arena, but the three of us fan out. We have like
shout out to both of them for sure.
Yeah, like so they're the two that introduced me to Dragon Con. And so we actually sat down after that convention and started saying, you know what? That's not right. This is not right. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. You should be able to cosplay any way you want to and still be able to be honored and to be respected and for your craft to be admired and your creativity to be admired. So we went back the next year and we said, you know what? Our goal is to definitely, like, whenever we see any costume or cosplayer that we like, take a picture. But let's really focus on uplifting people of color. And so out of that was birthed Dr. Law's Photo Lab. And you can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. So that's Dr. Law, Laws, Law's Photo Lab, all one word. And basically our purpose was to say, you know what, let's just be inclusive. It doesn't matter what your age is, what your size is, what your color is, what characters you're cosplaying that may not be exactly canon and exactly like the comic books or video games or whatever, what have you, but let's just enjoy cosplay, period. And so from there, it opened up a lot more doors of me being able, and the three of us being able to meet so many different cosplayers. It didn't matter if you were white, if you were Black, if you were Asian, if you were South American, if you were South African, it didn't matter. We were able to meet so many different people and just like sort of develop a dope community in Atlanta for cosplayers. Yeah.
Now, before we move further on about your cosplays, any advice you'd like to give out there for to cosplayers of color who may, you know, just like have doubts or stuff like that? Because I know a lot of cosplayers of color, especially on TikTok, having gotten a lot of hate. Any advice you'd like to throw out there to them?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, if you're doing something right and doing it well, you will have haters. So that's kind of the gauge that you can use to be able to make sure that you're going on the right path. Number two, do what's true to you. Cosplay any way you want to. A very close friend of mine that I was able to meet, is a cosplayer who's been in the game even longer than me, but he's so experienced. His name is Barr Foxx on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, but Barr Foxx actually created a movement called Cosplayyourway, and you can follow that hashtag and everything, but basically he encourages people to cosplay no matter what your gender, religion, weight, size, shape, age, it doesn't matter. Cosplay any way you think you want to play, because I mean, it's cosplay. It's supposed to be costuming for play, for fun. So have
costume
fun.
Play, exactly.
Yes, costume play, right? So cosplay your way is the second thing that I like to give to all cosplayers, and even more specifically cosplayers of color. And the third thing is you can, in addition to cosplaying your way in any way that you want to, it doesn't matter what the character is. Like if they appear green in a comic book or orange, or it appeared to have more European look or an African or Afrocentric look, it doesn't matter. You can still cosplay those characters without being disrespectful and still rock it your way. And that's what all of this is about. So just remember to have fun. That's the third thing. Just have fun, do you, and the right people will be drawn to you, and you'll be drawn to the right people.
Oh, most definitely. Now on to your cosplays that you've done yourself. What would you say your favorite cosplay is that you've done to this day?
Probably Shuri, my Black Panther's version of Shuri.
Nice.
I
I've
first
actually,
started,
isn't that the one that we use that you wanted to use as a
yes.
thumbnail? That's a real,
Mhm.
that's really, honestly, that's a really well done shorty from Black Panther.
Thank you. And shout out to Andrew Phillips, for that shot. It was just, he's such an amazing photographer. So that's another thing, as a cosplayer, you'll meet incredible photographers that really capture your essence well. So it's great to partner with them. But yeah, Andrew Michael Phillips, I drew that on IG. And so he was able to capture my favorite moment of myself wearing my natural hair and cosplaying as Shuri. And this is before the movie. That photo was taken actually before the film came out, because I've been a Black Panther cosplayer for long. And I think more people know this now, but prior to the movie being released, a lot of people didn't know, number one, that Black Panther had a little sister, and number two, that she was genius, and number three, that in the comic books, in one of the runs of the older runs of the comic books, she actually becomes Black Panther.
Yep,
Yeah.
I remember I found that actually after I seen the movie and everything.
Yep.
I didn't even know about, I remember like before the movie, I remember seeing about a female Black Panther, but I didn't know that later on that was T'Challa's sister,
Yep. It's
which
his little sister, and she goes on this whole
which I think is
journey.
kind of cool.
Yeah,
I'm
and she
hoping
goes
to
on a whole
see.
journey to be able to take on the mantle, to really try to get herself right and her spirit right and her energy right, so that she could take on the mantle and really be a true protector of Wakanda.
I'm hoping to see
So,
that in the sequel to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
no, that would be so nice. It's really, they have so many different directions that they'll be able to go with that film. But I'd really love to see more of a Shuri presence and kind of see her grow up, because she's that spunky little teenager in the film and in the comic book as well. But to see her sort of go through her rites of passage, if you will, to become a woman and potentially take on the mantle, the Black Panther mantle, that would be awesome.
Yeah, no,
So yeah, we'll
I definitely agree. It would. So what's it been like cosplaying as Shorty's version of the Black Panther
It's
for you?
actually been amazing. And the reason that I cosplayed her and I cosplay some of the characters that I do, I try to pick strong female characters who have different qualities about them that I either think that I embody or that I want to embody. So by choosing those characters like that, and especially or specifically Shuri, I'm able to really like vibe out to her. You know what I mean? Like really take on the persona and everything. So it's been really cool cosplaying Shuri, because it gave me an opportunity to show people that it's not just, Storm that's the only, a Black female or character of African descent that's popular in Marvel and that's amazing in Marvel. So it actually gave me an opportunity to teach a lot of people about Shuri, in that she actually does carry the mantle herself. She becomes Black Panther. So it creates an excellent talking point and a way to educate other nerds or future nerds, and ways for people to educate me as well. It's really cool.
Now your hair, it's all big and puffed out. How long did that take to do your hair for that cosplay?
Not long. That's actually how my hair naturally grows. So put some water on it, put some gel in it, and it curls up like that.
Nice.
And so I wanted to be able to be my own version of Shuri, by rocking my own mane, if you will. So I have it straightened right now, but but
Nice.
normally, yep, that's how it looks. So it didn't take long at all.
So have you ever made your own cosplays before too, aside from your ninja one that you did?
Yeah. So I started actually learning how to sew a couple years ago. There's another cosplayer and cosplay designer. His name is Walter Dean, but he goes by at Dean's List. That's DeAnsLYST. So Walter Dean actually took me sort of under his arm and was like, "Here, I'll show you how to sew." So far I've made two costumes completely from scratch, and they're simple costumes, but gotta start somewhere. My first one that I ever made was Indigo One. which is basically the Violet Lantern in the in the Lantern Corps. So everybody
Ooh.
knows about Green Lantern, but there's very few people who talk about the Violet Lantern. And so their ring power, if you will, or their main emotion is compassion. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's totally me. Like, I'm compassionate. So I felt like I can embody her. But it was really cool because Walter Dean was also making the Orange Lantern. And then Barr Foxx was getting the Green Lantern made, as well as Andrew Michael Phillips, the one I just mentioned, as the photographer. He also cosplays.
Nice.
So another cosplayer, Larry Love, and Super Fit with Reed, those two cosplayers, they were other colors of the spectrum. So we basically did the whole spectrum.
Oh, the whole Lantern Corps. Nice.
Yeah, the whole
I
Lantern Corps.
I remember learning about the different Lantern Corps from it was actually a Lego Batman game.
Oh, that's funny.
That's how I learned about the other Lantern Corps. That's pretty cool. How
Mhm.
long did it take you to do the Violet Lantern?
So because I was really new and like literally it's the first thing that I've ever sewn in life, it took me probably about a good 2 weeks with Walter Dean teaching me, but he was really good at teaching me. Kind of made me mad though in the beginning because he was just like, no, I'm gonna let you do it yourself. If the thread rips, then you have to, rethread the machine. And I was like, can you just help me so we can get this done? But so I was so irritated with him, but I know he was irritated with me because I had 1,000 questions. I kept, sorry, I kept messing up. Like, it was a lot going on. But after the fact, I was so proud of the way that the costume came out. Like, it looked like it was store-bought. And I was like, now I see why you were so hard on me. So I would say it probably took about 2 weeks total to do everything. And that was in between, going to work and,
a bit of
living
a
life.
bit of a bit of tough love and care for for your
Yeah,
first handmade cosplay.
just a little bit. Yeah,
Oh,
but what ended up being cool is that Andrew Michael Phillips, or I drew that. He took the most amazing photo of me in that and was showing me how to do motion, like sort of jump and bring motion into a camera or into film so that I didn't look awkward and like really just uncomfortable. But he recently shared with me that a school in Atlanta, local school, selected that photo of my indigo lantern to be on display in their hall. Kind of, it's a huge
nice.
picture, yeah, to just show photography and cosplay and people learning how to sew. So I was like, you know what, that tough love from Walter Dean,
Was
like,
worth it.
it was worth it. I'm all right with it now.
Oh, that's always good. Now this is another question I always ask cosplayers, and it's always the answer always differs. Has there been that one cosplay that it was like you wore it once and that was it? It was kind of a one and done.
Yeah. It's actually my Electra cosplay. I think I may have worn it 2 or 3 times. I was not a fan of Electra in terms of like her character, and like I thought she was pretty, but I was just like, I don't feel like I have a lot in common with her. But my two play big brothers from Dr. Law's Photo Lab were like, oh, Toya, you gotta cosplay Electra one year, you have to. And I was like, all right. So a friend of mine and myself, we like hurry up and we threw it together. It wasn't even like, I did not put a lot of work into this cosplay at all. And you know what? That was the cosplay that everybody liked the most out of all of my cosplay.
There's always that one cosplay that you don't like, but everyone else does.
Yeah,
And
it was my Electro.
which version did you cosplay? Did you cosplay her classic version?
Yeah, classic.
Nice, nice.
Yep.
But it's that one cosplay you've only done once, just never decided to bring back,
I
despite
think I
how
wore it
well
like three
it was
times.
perceived.
Yeah, because
That's
I was just like,
understandable.
I don't like it. But everybody else liked it though. So I don't know. I still have it.
Hey. Now, what's that one cosplay that you haven't done in so long that you would love to bring back to a con?
Well, definitely Shuri Black Panther, because I think I'm biased, so it's like my favorite. And I also did a couture version of that. Like, I made up in my mind what if Shuri was to go to a ball or a gala, what would she wear? And so I definitely would love to bring that one back out. Basically, I got some pieces of tool to make a huge like ball gown skirt off of
Ooh.
Amazon. And then it was my first time working with electronics for a costume. So I lined the skirt with like purple lights, like vibranium
Oh, like
lights.
when T'Challa's suit would like turn that color when every time he got it, get it, kept on getting attacked.
Yeah. Now I wasn't
Nice.
that as advanced as like Shuri in the film, but I was like, I could turn a button, switch on and off
Hey, don't I
within
mean
in my
that's
costume.
I think that's cool when a cosplayer can incorporate light LED lights into their
Hmm.
cosplay. Like the fact that they can do that, and have that kind of skill to do that, I think that's impressive, in my opinion.
Thanks.
I
I like
I,
it. YouTube. Shout out to YouTube.
I I've seen quite a few cosplayers do that, and it's like I have to give them props for just having that time and patience just to put the lights into their outfits.
Hmm. It was pretty tough for me, but because electronics and all that is not my thing at all. But it was a challenge for myself, and I was like, you know what, this will help me grow if I could pull this off. And so I was able to pull it off. And not only that, but I was actually shocked. One of the years that I wore it at Dragon Con, there was actually a shoot for all these different all these different cosplayers to bring in their versions of couture versions of whatever Marvel characters they liked. And so after that shoot, there was a guy that came up to me and he was like, hey, can I take your picture? I really love your cosplay. And I was like, sure. When I was, because again, that's normal for conventions and definitely Dragon Con. So
Right.
I'm taking the pictures. And then next thing I know, like a month later, a friend sends me a link and that photographer was there taking photos from marvel.com. So my photo ended up getting featured on Marvel's website. And I was like, what?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
pretty
and
cool.
I know, right? I was so excited because normally if Marvel's taking photos of cosplayers, it's because the cosplayers are very canon and they look exactly like they stepped off a movie set or exactly like they, just popped off the pages of a graphic novel or comic book or whatever. So mine
Nice.
was like a version of Black Panther and Shuri that I just made up. And I was like pleasantly surprised to see that they featured it. So
Hey, that's
I would
always a
like,
good. Hey, that's always cool when you see
yeah.
your cosplay like featured on like on a well-known website. Now,
Mhm.
have you done any non-comic book characters for cosplay?
Yeah, actually, I guess technically this is not a comic book character, it's a Disney character. Definitely I've my one of my favorite characters that I cosplay from Disney is Princess Jasmine. I
Ooh.
love wearing the costume. It just makes me feel very feminine and very girly. And so I have like a poofy skirt and really sparkly pants and sparkly top. And I fix my hair to look like Princess Jasmine and makeup and things. So I always feel really powerful, like an actual princess when I wear that costume. So technically she's not a comic book character, but a character that a lot of people are familiar with.
Nice. Now, no, non cosplay related. What's some advice you would want to give to either first time cosplayers or first time con goers?
Oh, okay. So first time cosplayer, if you see different cosplays online and they look incredible, especially the ones with huge pieces of armor and things like that, do not get intimidated. Cosplay whatever way that you can. Definitely cosplay your way. So cosplay can be very expensive, but you can do it on a budget. I often do it on a budget. I get a lot of my stuff from like Big Lots or Family Dollar or the Dollar Tree, lots of little pieces, just get creative. And it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg to look really, really cool. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. So just be creative and making use of any resources that you have around. So that's the first thing for a first time cosplayer. And you don't have to be a certain age to do it. I talked to a woman at BlurredCon about, I don't know, a month or so ago. And she was like, I'm 46 years old. I always thought that cosplay was for like the teenagers. And I'm like, no, cosplay is for everybody,
I mean,
literally.
I've seen people in their 70s. Like I remember
Uh-huh.
seeing this like pictures of this elderly couple years ago cosplaying as
Mhm.
a elderly version of Mario and Princess Peach.
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. So you're never too young and you're never too old. It doesn't matter. There's baby cosplayers that are like 2 years old. I think the oldest cosplayer that I've met was actually 98 years old at Dragon Con. She was fantastic. and like got into character and everything. So cosplay your way for if you're a first time cosplayer. There's so many tutorials on like quick tutorials on TikTok and on YouTube, things on Instagram. So there's lots of resources. And if you have questions, you can ask me at Royalty Cosplay on Twitter and definitely on Instagram. I'm a very active on Instagram and TikTok as well.
And links to those will be in the description below.
Oh, thank you, sir. The other thing that I want to say to a first-time con goer, just be open. A lot of people are very introverted, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just understand that when you go to these different conventions, they all may not be as large as a Dragon Con, for example. It could be smaller, more local cons, but there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of energy that comes with those people. And so just prepare yourself. You know, if you don't want to be as social, you don't have to be, but understand that at these different conventions, it's not just cosplayers. That's what I'm interested in, but there are different panels for lots of different things, different types of fandom. Usually there's a vendors hall where you can go and get some cool merch and some cool swag sometimes from different vendors that are there, depending on what the convention is. So there's something for everybody. If you're a gamer and you're not into costuming, there's something for gamers at many of these conventions.
Oh yeah, no, there definitely is. Some conventions actually have like at least 2 conventions I've gone to will have like a little gaming area with TV set up and old consoles like Xbox, PlayStation, and everything.
Yep. So there's something for everybody there. So it's okay if you're not into cosplay, you still will probably really, really enjoy the convention.
Yeah, you know, definitely. Now a question I always ask as well, of course, any experiences you'd like to share, whether it's like a convention or cosplay horror story, a funny moment. I always try to bring into some humor, as you will, into these your own experiences, basically.
I don't know. Haven't had like an embarrassing moment or anything.
Or what would you say like one of your favorite moments was, either if it was going to a convention or cosplaying?
Oh, I have a lot of favorite moments. I love directing photo shoots. Usually the large photo shoots. I serve as a creative director for Dr. Law's Photo Lab. And so when we have photo shoots, it's just amazing, like the number of people that come out, the talent. And so for me, one of my favorite moments is there's another group called Black Geeks of Dragon Con who has grown exponentially over the past few years. But I think it was probably 2 years ago, I was helping direct that shoot and also participating in that shoot. A guy named C.S. Sherman or Channing is the gentleman that's over that. He's incredible and has so much love for this, just the cosplay community in general. But it was really cool to be able to, the 5th year of Black Geeks of Dragon Con, which again was just a couple years ago, we were able to present him with a plaque for all the work that he had done for just the Dragon Con community and for Black Geeks to show us that it's okay, we can cosplay and there's welcome space for us too. So that was kind of more of a heartfelt moment. And then I don't remember, y'all forgive me, I don't remember the actress's name, but on the series, Black Lightning series, the woman that plays the wife of Black Lightning, or the ex-wife of Black Lightning, she actually was there at Dragon Con, I think on a panel or something like that.
Nice.
During the photo shoot, she came out and was in tears because she was like, I've never seen this in my life. And she was like, can I get in the photo with you guys? And we were like, yes, you don't even have to ask. Just come up here on these stairs.
I imagine that was pretty amazing for you guys to have her and just support that group and everything.
Yeah, because we were like all admiring her because of her work on Black Lightning, but she was admiring us. And she was like, the kid in me is drawn to this and I feel so welcome and so much warmth and appreciation. And she was like, I just want to be a part of this. So she wasn't dressed up in cosplay, but of course we still welcomed her and took a bunch of pictures with her. So I think that's got to be one of my favorite moments at Dragon Con, to honor someone who's making a big impact in the Dragon Con community for blurs or Black nerds. And then to add in that same space and at the same time have someone from like Hollywood come and admire our costumes, but we're like watching her and streaming Black Panther, like admiring her. Not Black Panther, Black Lightning, admiring her. Clearly you can see this on my mind.
But
yeah, it was cool though.
Nice.
Pretty awesome.
Now, two more questions. Any future
Mhm.
cosplays that you want to do that you've never done before?
Yeah, I actually got to do at BlurCon this year. I got to do a cosplay that was really simple, but I had wanted to do it for years, and that was Carmen San Diego. But
Ooh,
I did the Netflix version in the animated
nice.
series
I
that's
think
on
I actually
there.
saw that. You were like standing in front of a red car, I believe it
Yeah,
was.
Photoshop, man,
Oh, and
Photoshop.
look, to me, I thought that looked real for a minute. So
Right, right. Shout out to Barr Foxx again. He was the one that created that because he was like, "This costume is so awesome," and I was like, "It's just something I threw together." So he created a kind of a graphic to make it
nice.
look like I was
Definitely
on a
shout out to
con.
Barr Fox.
Yeah,
Now, is he the one?
definitely.
Is he the one that you did the Princess Jasmine with?
No, I didn't do Princess Jasmine with him, but I did do a mashup version of Princess Jasmine with Smooth Cosplayer. So
Ooh,
he's on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, but I think his presence is more well known on Instagram. But he was the one that was like, I saw your Princess Jasmine. I love it. What if I cosplayed as Jafar and you cosplay as Princess Jasmine, but wear the red costume and she was imprisoned by Jafar? And I was like, that would be amazing. So,
nice. Well,
so he,
shout out to Smooth Cosplayer and also
yeah,
Barr Fox as well.
yeah. So, I actually, that was the second costume I ever made, and Dean's List helped me on that as well. Put a lot of work into that and the accessories. But so our mashup was to be Siths from Star Wars. So we both got red lightsabers and kind of did our thing, our mashup cosplay.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Now, before we end this, is there anything last minute thing you'd like to say, share out there for those who are listening?
Yes, I want everybody legit to try to cosplay at least one time. It's pretty, or try to find a local convention that and just explore it. Even if you don't want to cosplay, just explore it. I literally had a friend of mine from high school. She and her husband, they have two little ones, and
Aw,
she had been seeing my cosplays on Instagram and on Facebook and stuff. And so, and on Twitter too. So let's see, 2 weekends ago, she actually took her children and her husband to the very first cosplay convention ever in Pittsburgh, PA. And she was like, now I see why you go to these. So she just wore a t-shirt that she had made and put the Wonder Woman symbol on it, but she made her own version. It was Wonder Woman symbol, but it had leopard print, and then she had leopard chucks on with it,
love
which I
it.
thought was really cool. So I was like, that was her version of cosplay. One of her sons did not want to cosplay, the other one did, but it was still like really cool for them to have that experience even as a family. And their dog even cosplayed,
Aw.
which was awesome. So they brought their dog to the convention. It was so cute. So I'm like, my word to everybody is, sometimes life is really tough and really serious, and we're still living through COVID and the stresses that come with that, and just like school, is it going to be virtual or is it not going to be virtual? And it's just crazy. So, with that being said, I encourage everyone to look into a convention that is safe, and that you feel comfortable going to, whether it's during COVID or after COVID, and just see what's out there. There may be parts of you that you're able to discover that helps you have a better work-life balance, or something that appeals to the little kid that's in you, and it's totally fine, and it's a safe space to express that.
No, definitely. And one more thing I forgot to add in.
Sure.
One thing that's always mentioned in these, if you're going to your first con
Mhm.
and you're nervous about going alone, as I always say, to quote Crush from Finding Nemo, bring an exit buddy.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. You can go by yourself. You can bring a buddy with you. If you're nervous about going by yourself, which I definitely was my first year, and you don't have that tribe, you haven't found that yet, it's totally fine. You can use TikTok, you can use Instagram, you can use Snapchat, like all kinds of just different social media platforms to follow people or connect with people who have similar fandoms. And every now and then you'll be able to meet someone that's going to be hosting a panel at a convention, and maybe you can hang out with them, or as you're at a panel or at some sort of gaming event or whatever at the convention, you'll meet people that you would not have normally crossed paths with, and that could be your tribe. That's
No,
definitely what happened to me.
definitely. Well, I think that should do it. Again, Latoya, thank you for coming on to Cosplay Con Talks. Get to know that
You're
cosplayer.
welcome.
Again, for anyone who's listening, if you want to have any questions for Latoya or anything, links to her social media will be on the description below.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Again, I'm Wayne the Unknown, joined here by Royalty Cosplays. Thank you for listening, and as always, until next time, thank you for watching.